Hello.
Hey.
We got 3 weeks down and
Oh my goodness.
15 left in the regular season.
Jesus.
When
It's a long season.
do buys start week 5?
I mean, there weren't any this week, so I would assume they start soon.
Yeah, I think week 5 you got buys. So this week
Yeah.
we got a full slate again, and then
Yeah.
next week we'll have a few teams on buy,
You,
and you don't have to listen to us as long. So let's jump into how terribly we did with our picks last week. So the first thing we liked was the Patriots to cover against the Jets. And we obviously both got that horribly wrong.
no. Rodgers decided to look like Rodgers.
Yeah, so in retrospect, this was a really dumb pick by me, I think. Just because it was Rodgers' first game back at the stadium where he tore his or whatever, he messed up his Achilles.
Yeah.
First home game this year. It just like you knew that he was going to be juiced up, or we should have known that, and I just didn't even think about that. And he played like
He played great. He looked
vintage.
so good. Like he looks like that team looked good. It didn't look like the same team that played the first 2 weeks. And the
Right.
Patriots also honestly didn't look like the team that had played the first 2 weeks. So it's
Yeah. So the Patriots kind of had the Seahawks and blew it, got a little bit snake bit in overtime, and then you turn around and go Thursday night against a Jets team who is just like they had the juice, like they were ready
They
to
did.
go. I always talk about motivation and all that, and like it was very clear after the fact. I was like, oh, that was dumb. Like no shit. But I guess division game. I kind of thought they would keep it close, but you got to look at who played bad last week. Usually those teams will rebound unless they're really terrible, and who has a reason, kind of an extra reason to get up for the game. So
Yeah, and also maybe the Bengals aren't great. Maybe the Bengals aren't that good. I mean, one of the surprise wins was the Patriots over the Bengals, and just maybe the Bengals aren't that great.
yeah, so after 3 weeks, it's very interesting. Like as we go through these, I'm gonna kind of lay out has everyone played, and people who don't really think about who teams have played think are going to think some teams are way better or way worse than they probably are, and we'll just kind of discuss that. Okay, the next one, I had a 1-star Eagles over the Saints, and they did pull it out. The game kind of went like I thought it would. Like it was close the whole way, and then the Eagles, like you just kind of expected the Saints to like not be good in a close game, and they let Dallas Goedert run for like 55 yards on a 3rd and 16, and then it just set up the Eagles for a touchdown.
Sirianni not fired yet.
No, and he probably won't be the first one.
No, I know that team's too good.
I think you said Peterson would be on the hook, and they might be the worst team.
Yeah, I mean, now that Andy Dalton is QBing the Panthers, that could be like legitimately. That just looks like a team who's waiting for their wheels to fall completely off.
So the next one, Josh had the Bucks over the Broncos. This was one of those where I couldn't quite give it out as a pick, but I did say the line is weird low. What's going on? And the Broncos absolutely dominated the whole game.
Oh my God.
I didn't watch it, so couldn't really tell you what it was. But
yeah, I didn't get it either. But it just this win is inexplicable to me. I just don't see this as being the jumping off point for the Broncos to have a stellar season. Maybe I'll be wrong.
I agree with you. I think it was an anomaly.
Just a fluke game. Yeah.
Like you're 0-2 going to 2-0. Like you're desperate. The 2-0 team is playing what's supposedly one of the worst teams in the league, and they just like can't get up for the game. Like they're just not executing. And that's like I said, I didn't watch it, but that had to have been kind of what happened.
I mean, we'll see what happens this week, but it's just I don't know what conclusions you can draw from this until you see several more games from each of these teams at this point.
Right. So the next one was the Packers Titans. So I said if Malik Willis plays, take the Titans. And again, I don't know that he threw a couple more passes, but I think he maybe threw barely 20 passes. And his completion percentage was good. Like I almost had to eat my words, but I did say I'll quit doing the podcast if he's like 20 something for 30 and they kind of dominate, and he looks really good. Well, he did look pretty good, but he didn't have to throw the ball a lot again, which I still don't understand. I felt like the Titans' game plan was bad, but maybe the Titans are just really bad.
I mean, yeah, maybe another game that if Vrabel's there, they win, or at least it's more competitive. But who knows? I mean, Matt LaFleur is a quarterback wizard and seems to understand the game of football in a way that some other coaches, maybe in the division, can't
Yeah.
grasp.
Another thing, so the Packers kind of made people believe, at least some people believe, that Love was going to play each of the last 2 weeks.
Yes,
and
very much.
The prep for Jordan Love versus Malik Willis is obviously very different. So, what do you do? Like put in two packages, or do you kind of guess which one's going to play and kind of have a contingency plan? I mean, it's tougher to prepare for that. Like if they prepared for Willis and then Love played, that would be a tougher change than if they prepared for Love and Willis played. Yeah. But I don't know. I don't know if that played into it. Anyway, moving on. Josh, 3 stars. He got the Colts over his Bears. That's one thing that's easy to pick, huh?
God, they suck. They really suck.
I mean, Fields threw for 363, but I didn't feel like it.
It didn't. If you watch the game, which I did, for whatever reason, you would never have known that guessed his stat line that he had almost 400 yards, which I guess is, I mean, it's a significant improvement over the first 2 games, but the offense is a disaster. It's been a disaster for years, just with different coaches and different personnel and different schemes, and it's just they're always completely unprepared with an offensive game plan, and I don't understand how anybody still has a job there.
Yeah, and I like. Some people will say, like some of these analysts who I sort of respect, say that the quarterback, like it has to be a good fit for most quarterbacks. And I don't know if Jaden Daniels just has a better fit, but he obviously looks 10 times better than Caleb Williams at this point.
Yeah.
And I did say before the season started, I'm like, I don't expect Jaden Daniels to be the best quarterback of this class, but it does feel a lot like it did with Stroud, where like I didn't expect him to be either. Like he was kind of in that zone for me. And I mean, he completed 91% of his passes against the Bengals or something like that.
But he had 2 passing touchdowns, he had a rushing touchdown. He looked terrific. He looked like everything you wanted him to be. And if you're a talented quarterback who's going to make it in this league, I don't care if you're a rookie or not, you're going to flash signs of that in your rookie season. And Caleb Williams has not done that. I don't care how bad the offensive line is. I know it's really difficult to succeed, but if you're going to be the guy, you got to succeed.
Yeah, that'll be interesting to see how that plays out with the O-line and how, like he threw for a lot of yards, but the people who watched that game, including you, you still weren't really impressed with what he was doing, even though he threw for a lot of yards.
No. He doesn't look good. He doesn't look good. And again, he's running for his life, fine, but he just, he's not prepared. The whole team isn't prepared, right? So I think you can maybe go into that and look at that this is a shitty coaching staff who doesn't know how to coach, who doesn't know how to get a team. It's not just the defense, the team ready to play week after week. And as the season progresses, I think you'll see teams. We talked about this last week with the lack of a preseason. Teams are just not ready to start. They will fall into place. This is going to be a team, the Bears, that just never figures it out. Feels like to me.
All right. We both liked the Chargers over the Steelers. Right. So there's a little bit of a caveat here. Like Herbert, high ankle sprain, he played, but he re-aggravated it in the middle of that game. And Steelers win by 10. I mean, I guess I should have sort of noted this, that like I should have stayed away from it just because of Herbert's injury. Like you knew he wasn't going to be close to 100%. So maybe kind of a silly pick going into Pittsburgh. I think a healthy Herbert, obviously that game's a lot closer, and I still think the Chargers win, but that's neither here nor there because I knew he was hurt. So, all right. So we both got that one wrong. So the next one, the pick of the week was my one flash. I did say Panthers coming off a huge, or sorry, Raiders coming off a huge road win, playing the Panthers with a quarterback change. That it was just kind of the perfect storm for a Panthers like easy cover, and they
Dominant
absolutely dominated the game.
Yeah.
Andy Dalton was the first quarterback this year that had a game with 3 touchdowns, 300 yards, and no picks or something like that.
Yeah.
All right.
He's been saving that game for a while.
Yeah, and then we both got the Cardinals wrong against the Lions. Both had a 2-star on that. The Cardinals kept it close, but just couldn't move the ball against a team that usually gives up a lot of yards and can give up some points in the Lions. That was a little bit, I watched a lot of that game and it just didn't, I couldn't understand why the Lions couldn't move the ball. Obviously why the Cardinals couldn't move the ball. Lions defensive game plan must have been pretty solid. And then I had a 1-star on the Jags against the Bills. I went out on a limb and they were never even close. So horrible picks by us last week. Let's move on. Turn the page. So
that's what keeps the game interesting, I suppose. Hard to predict.
Yeah. Overall, we're both not good. I guess the one bright spot, I have gone 4-2 on my 3 stars. So we'll hope to keep that up this week. Let's get into the week 4 lines.
Let's do it.
Okay. We're doing this on Wednesday this week. So tomorrow night, we've got the Cowboys against the Giants in New York. Technically New Jersey, I think the stadium is.
I believe that's correct, yes.
I have the Cowboys by 5.
I've got them giving 1.5, and I know I'm way wrong on this. I don't buy the Cowboys, and then the Giants won this past week, so I don't know.
It opened at 5 and it went to 5.5.
It's going the opposite way that I think. So based on my picks from last week, you know that it's probably a safe bet.
Yeah. So this one, I mean, I don't blame you for going Cowboys 1.5. Like based on what the teams have actually done this year, I think that's more fair. It just seems like the last, I don't know, the Daniel Jones era, the Cowboys just beat up on the Giants every single game, and I think I think the Cowboys have a backing, and you just knew that this was going to be higher or should be higher. They'd put it higher. So,
I mean, on paper, this line makes a lot of sense. But what's been happening on the field, coming off a win with the Giants, I don't know. This just seemed like in the Cowboys on the road. But yeah, I mean, the Cowboys just probably have too much for that to be a realistic line.
Yeah, so I'm not going to give out anything on this one just because the Cowboys haven't looked good this year, but they've seemed to dominate the Giants. And the Giants, I feel like the Giants should keep it close at home, but I don't trust them. So that's why I'm kind of just torn.
Yeah.
I will say this. So the Cowboys beat the Browns. Are the Browns good? I would say the Browns are not good.
No.
The Giants also beat the Browns. The Cowboys were getting smoked by the Ravens and then almost pulled it out at the end. So who else did the Cowboys play so far? They just got smoked by someone else. Oh, the Saints.
Yep.
And they got smoked by the Saints. So the Cowboys basically got dominated twice, almost pulled it out against the Ravens, but not really. And then they got smoked by the Saints. And then you got the Giants who beat the Browns and lost to the Commanders when we thought the Commanders were worse than they actually are. I mean, the Commanders are probably actually legitimate. And then who else did the Giants lose to? The Vikings.
The Vikings, yeah.
So the Giants have probably played one of the toughest schedules so far.
Yeah.
They pretty much led the whole game against the Browns. I don't know if I'm just trying to be vindicated in my thinking the Giants were going to be better than most people thought, but I don't think they're as bad as almost everyone thinks.
The division's probably a lot better than people thought. If you think about what the Commanders might be able to do if Jaden Daniels continues to perform like he has, and if the Giants suck less than we think, this could be a pretty decent division, not the worst division in football for sure.
Yeah, it's weird. What was it last year? The AFC North, almost all 4 teams made the playoffs, and the one that didn't was the Bengals. And now the AFC North is 5-7 collectively. And you've got the NFC North is doing well, and the NFC East. It's just a complete shift kind of in some of these divisions from last year. But it's early, so we'll see how it plays out.
Yeah.
All right. Let's go on to the Bengals at the Panthers.
I have the Bengals given 3.
All right. I have Bengals by 3.5. You have Bengals by 3.
Mm-hmm.
I was very close on most of my guesses this week. By far the best week I've had. What was this one? Opened at 4.5. It is 4.5. All right. I get that barely. Okay. So the Panthers destroyed the Raiders in a game that, I mean, I guess I saw it coming. Maybe a lot of other people didn't, but and then the Bengals lose at home to the Commanders, where I don't think either team punted. The Bengals defense literally just could not stop Jaden Daniels at all.
That team looks woebegone. Something's going on there.
Yeah, and Lou Anarumo is the defensive coordinator for the Bengals, and I always thought he was a pretty solid defensive coordinator.
Very highly regarded. Like, everybody loves to talk about how great he is.
I'm pretty sure they had 2 key starters out, BJ Hill and someone else. So that's an easy thing to not think about, but it can play a huge role.
Sure.
I mean, you think about taking out 2 of your starters, and especially if it's 2 of your better players on defense, that can make a huge difference. So Bengals at the Panthers. Panthers looked better. Let's quickly talk about so the Panthers lost to the Saints. Saints have looked very good. 2-1, and the 2 wins were blowouts, and the 1 loss was a close game. And then the Panthers, who else did the Panthers play? Well, they just beat the Raiders. And then what was their other game? The Panthers played the Chargers.
Oh, and they lost the Chargers.
Chargers with Herbert healthy. So, Panthers are 1-2, but their 2 losses are games that a lot of teams would lose. Like, they feel kind of like the Giants with Dalton. Like, they're not. After 2 weeks, most people thought the Giants and Panthers were for sure 2 of the worst 5 teams in the league, no matter what.
Yeah.
And now I really don't think you can say that, although we haven't seen a lot of consistency out of Dalton and Jones the last few years, so we'll let that play out.
I don't think you can put your faith in Andy Dalton to bring you to anyway. I mean, I don't know. I would have said the same thing about Joe Flacco this time last year, right? And then what did he do? He had a magic 5 games, and the Browns looked terrific going into the postseason. So who knows? But I mean, are the Panthers now the worst team in the league? Probably not. But are they still bottom 4 or 5? I have to think so.
I mean, I'd have to really think about all the teams and where teams fit. I don't think so, but at the same time, like, when teams get a little tape on Andy Dalton and start not overlooking them, they might still finish
by record
4-13. I don't really know, but
5 or 6.
We'll see. Yeah. But they were only expected to win 5 or 6 games, so we'll see. I mean, when you're expected to be the worst, all you got to do is be better than one team, and then you're
then you're not the worst. Yeah, that's right.
Okay, we got the Saints at the Falcons. Falcons by 2 is what I have.
I have Saints.
Both have Falcons by 2.
1.5.
Is opened at 1 and it went to 1.5. So I think this was fairly easy to guess, just because the Saints are, I would say, a little bit better. But these 2 teams, are pretty much equal. The Saints have just played a little bit better. They're 2-1. They had a couple blowouts. The Falcons have been in games against tough teams. They're 1-2. You give the Falcons a slight nod at home, but you don't give them the full 3 because you're saying the Saints are just a little bit better. So it's fair to me.
Yeah, I still think we're not quite sure what these teams are. Many people thought the Falcons were going to win this division in the offseason, that they've looked not so great. The Saints have looked pretty awesome. I think both of these teams are going to come back towards the middle somewhere, and this is a fair line at this point. I don't know that anybody knows where they're at yet. I mean, and this division could come down to the last game like it did last year. So who knows? Everybody hovering around 9-8.
Yeah, and I think the tendency is going to be for people to like the Saints here. You know, better team as an underdog. And I think you should stay away from that. Like, I think the Falcons can win a home game. The Falcons can match up offense and defensive line. Like, they're not going to get outplayed. Like, the Saints have outplayed some teams in that respect. And then, I don't know, I guess it just depends. Which quarterback do you trust in a close game on that one? Maybe neither. Although
that's the right answer.
I think Cousins has fared a little bit better in close games than a lot of people think he has. You know, it's like primetime Kirk. He can't win.
He's got the better resume, right? I mean, at least from a playoff standpoint. I don't even know if Derek Carr's made the playoffs. I think only once.
Right. So I'm going to say I don't love it, but I'm going to go 1 star on the Falcons to cover the 1.5. All right. We'll go back through those at the end, but that's what I'm saying. Let's go to what could be the worst team in the NFL.
Maybe.
One of the worst teams. The Jaguars against the Texans.
Yeah.
I got Texans by 6.
I haven't given 3.5. And I should have changed this after the other game. Watching that game on Monday. But
Houston opened at 6 and it's up to 7.
Yeah.
Okay.
Surprised it's not higher.
So I'll say a couple things that I think history would tell you, or at least I remember hearing this, that this division, the divisional games in this division are harder to predict than like any division. It seems like just weird stuff happens.
Yeah.
So that's, I don't know, if you can like the Jags for any reason, that's probably the only reason. Although the Texans haven't played well the last 2 weeks. They went up against the Bears defense, which is pretty good. They ran into the Vikings in Minnesota, just wasn't a good spot for them. But I still think, like, I don't think you can argue that the Texans aren't still a very good team this year. So I guess 6, it's a little higher. I think probably just because the Jags have been so bad.
So bad. And I think still people have a lot of faith in the Texans. They haven't looked great, but
yeah,
I think that's some of where this line is.
Yeah, and so the Texans are 2-1, the Jags are 0-3. I mean, obviously the Jags need this game way more if they want to salvage any sort of a season, but I don't think that's a reason to pick them. Just stay away from this is my opinion anyway.
Agreed. I like the Texans here. You can put 1 star for me on the Texans.
All right.
I will take them here.
Gotta fade the Jags, right?
Yeah.
All right, let's go on. We got the Broncos, who suddenly look spectacular. Broncos at the Jets. I said Jets by 7.5.
I've got the Jets giving 5.
I think I nailed this, or I'm really close.
7.5.
Yeah, right on the nuts.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'll tell you what I was thinking on this one. So Broncos played really well last week, but they didn't look very good the first 2 weeks. If they wouldn't have looked good last week, this is easily double digits. But they looked decent. 7.5 can be a lot, but I think the Jets deserve more than a touchdown just because. What are they? They're 2-1. They've had a fairly, I don't know, maybe average schedule, and Rodgers looked really good. So you don't get crazy with it because the Broncos looked competent. You don't go under a touchdown because the Jets should probably win by about a touchdown, and it just kind of at, more than 7, less than 10 range.
I mean, Rodgers looks better every week. He looked near his old self this past week. I don't see how you can go with the Broncos in this situation for what they did against the Bucks. I don't love the Jets coach, but yeah, I mean, this line seems a little fair. I think I was responding a little more to what the Broncos did against the Bucks and setting it a little lower. But yeah, it wouldn't surprise me if the Jets won by 10 or more.
Yeah, you've got a rookie quarterback against a Jets defense that's pretty, like top 10, probably going to end up being a top 10 defense this year, if not top 5. On the road, Rodgers looked great. I mean, it's a tough, Can the Broncos win this game? I mean, I guess, but I ain't picking that. But no, like I don't know about the 7.5. 7.5 can be tough. I mean, you can be up 15 and they get a touchdown and a 2-point with 30 seconds left, and you don't cover. Like it's tough. All right. Uh-oh. The Vikings play the Packers. Is it going to be the Malik Willises or the Jordan Loves this week?
It's the first NFC North divisional game of the season, isn't it?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
I have the Packers by 3.
I have the Packers by 1.5. They're giving 1.
I think it's 2.5 if I remember. Opened at 2.5. Yeah, it's 2.5. So I barely get that one. Okay. So I guess 3. Like if Love plays and is pretty much healthy, although Darnold, he's banged up a little bit too.
Yeah.
I expect both quarterbacks to play but not be 100%. At this point, I just think these are equal teams, and you just go 3 to the home team. So like I didn't analyze it any more than that. What do I think about this? I don't know. This is typically a tough spot for the Vikings, although they've looked really good.
Both sides of the ball.
3 games.
Both sides of the ball.
So I hate to say this, but I really think this is going to be a letdown game for the Vikings. If Love plays, now I keep saying if Love plays, and I should probably stop hating on Malik Willis, but I just have to, like, if Willis starts this game, I have to believe Flores is going to have a pretty good game plan for him, like neither of the last 2 have had.
Mm-hmm.
But I'll probably be wrong again. So if both starters play, I think you got to take the Packers here. I think they're going to win a game at home. You know, if Love plays, he lost to the Eagles and didn't play the other 2 games. So there's a little sense of urgency there. The Packers are going to be like, the Vikings, come on, they're undefeated. Like, time for them to lose, sort of a thing. So that's what my brain's telling me. So I'm going to give, if Love plays, I'm going to say Packers 2 stars.
I think I really like the Vikings. I mean, if Love doesn't play, I really like the Vikings here. Even if Love is playing, the Vikings have looked so good, but I wouldn't at this point. I wouldn't count the Packers out at home. There's too much history. LaFleur has proven himself to be too good a coach. This line makes a ton of sense to me with Love not playing. If he's playing, I think it's probably a little higher, maybe closer to 3.
Interesting. Because that is interesting. I assumed he was playing with this line. And if he's not, well, we'll just have to see.
Yeah.
We'll check out what it does before kickoff based on who's playing. If it moves or doesn't move, and whether it's Willis or Love. But 2 different perspectives on that.
Truth.
All right. The 3-0 Steelers at the 1-2 Coltskis, and I have the Steelers by 2.5.
I haven't given them 3. Given up 3.
Wow, I can't tell you. Okay.
Where 1.5.
Steelers opened at 1.5, and it's 1.5.
Yeah, this is. I honestly just can't believe it's not higher. The Colts suck.
Yeah, I'm confused. Like, I feel like the Steelers got a perfect schedule for what they're doing. They haven't played a lot of high-flying offenses yet, and they can't really compete with those. Like, if teams get up on them 2 touchdowns with what they're doing right now, they're not going to keep it close.
Yeah.
But the teams they've played haven't been able to do that. Like, at Denver, at the Falcons, and then hosting the Chargers with a banged up quarterback. They just it's been kind of the perfect storm for them so far. Okay, so I'll make the case for the Colts, even though the Colts have been pretty inconsistent. I mean, they just beat the Bears, but 3-0 team going on the road. I always talk about juice or motivation. Like, the Colts, I think, are going to be, I don't know, are they going to be more ready to play, but more jacked up? Like, to get a home win, they're 1-2, they need it more. Like, you don't see teams have a lot of continued success in the NFL from week to week, just because um, they're all professionals. It's just tough to go on the road and win.
Mm.
But I don't know. Like the Steelers also are pretty kind of fundamentally sound.
Yeah.
So I guess I wouldn't be surprised. I got to think about that one a little bit more. If I lean the Colts, I just don't know how much.
I just Anthony Richardson at this point in his career seems too mistake prone to beat the Steelers. That defense and Tomlin, I think you're right. Like an explosive offense is going to be a real problem for this team because they can't compete on the offensive side of the ball. At least they haven't shown that they can. And I think Richardson is capable of that, capable of helming an offense that is explosive and dynamic and puts up a lot of points. But he just throws the ball away too much. I mean, if he has 2 picks in this game, that wouldn't surprise me. I wonder what the over under for picks in this game is for Richardson. But Steelers all the way here. You can put two stars for this.
All right.
I'll take 2 stars, which means the Colts are going to definitely probably win by 40. But
yeah, I don't know. It gets easy to really like teams when they're winning.
Yeah,
and only really the very elite teams can kind of sustain success. Go like 13-4 and like continuously keep beating teams. I don't know.
Week after week. I don't know. It's funny. I don't even know who the elite teams are right now. There's one I can think of.
There's 4 undefeated teams, I think. Steelers, Bills,
Seahawks,
Chiefs.
Yes.
I mean,
I wouldn't call the Seahawks an elite team.
No, let's play the old. Who have they played? Beat the Broncos at home. Okay, everyone's going to beat the Broncos at home except the Bucks. Beat the Patriots in overtime on the road. Patriots are probably not good. Who else did they play?
Yeah, that was this past week, right?
They beat the Patriots. Dolphins without a quarterback.
Yeah.
I mean, the Seahawks, you got to win the game, but like it kind of feels like the Steelers sort of a vibe. Like they haven't really beaten a good team with all their Jims and Joes healthy, or at least like the most important ones.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm not buying in on the Seahawks. I still think they're probably a playoff team. Like they can win enough to get in the playoffs, but you got to look at who teams have played to this point.
Excuse me, that division looks pretty topsy-turvy right now. So, I mean, all those teams look competitive.
They're 3-0 and everyone else is 1-2. Like the Seahawks have a 2-game lead over everyone after 3 weeks. Like, you wouldn't have said
inexplicable. That. No, absolutely not. So we'll see. And with a new coach too, they're having a great season at this point, right?
Yeah. Walker, their running back's been out 2 weeks, but other than that, I think they've been fairly healthy. Yeah. And you look at the Rams and the 49ers have been ridiculously banged up, like the 2 most injured teams at key spots in the whole league, I would say. And then Cardinals have played the Bills, the Lions, and who'd they beat last week? They beat the Rams. Yeah, they smoked the Rams, who was banged up. So I don't know, like. It's been kind of just the perfect storm for the Seahawks to be 3-0 and be 2 games at this point. But the injury bug kind of hits everyone eventually, it seems like. So we'll see how that shakes out.
Yes.
Rams at the Bears.
Jeez. Rams by 1 million.
Like exactly 1 million or?
I have the Rams giving 4.
Okay. I have Rams by 2. You have Rams by 4.
I do.
The Rams week to week, it's going to be how many of these people?
And the Bears inexplicably are getting 3 points at home. It makes no sense. None.
Opened at Bears 1.5. That went to Bears 3.
I mean, this has to be all about the Rams injuries and the somewhat constipated thinking that Matt Eberflus is a good defensive coach. Which the defense has looked good. I mean, I guess you can't argue that point, but he is in charge of the whole team, is my understanding.
Yeah.
And the whole team is not very good.
Yeah, I'll make the case for the Bears. if anyone watched the end of the Rams Niners game, they absolutely stole the game. Like they never should have won that game. Got out of there with a win. I still think they're very banged up. Now they're going on the road against the Bears are what the Bears are, but it's a home game. They're 1-2. You like I keep saying the juice or motivation. Like the Rams could very well be on a little bit of a low, even though what are they? Are they 1-2? They're 1-2, so they're desperate too. But Rams coming off a big divisional win. Bears off a loss, really need a win. Williams at least threw for more yards.
Had a couple of touchdowns too. I mean, I know he threw a couple of picks, but so that's fine. But they're not good. He's a dope. Eberflus, actually, lovely man, I'm sure, and excellent in so many other areas of his life. But as a head football coach, I just don't see him being able to outski. I think they're going to have to just rely on dumb luck, right? Like a blocked punt and a pick 6 or 2 to win this game. That's it. Like it's just there's no way that I can see this be a functioning team like by design winning this game.
Yeah, I don't have an opinion on this. What I'll say is check the injury report before this game because if
Cup's out, I think too.
Yeah, I mean Cup and Puka, and then also the line of the Rams is pretty banged up too. Like, don't get too crazy one way or another. There's so much uncertainty in this game. That's all I'm gonna say.
Yeah.
Let's move on to the Eagles at the Bucks. They played in the regular season last year. The Eagles smoked them. They played in the postseason last year. The Bucks smoked them, and now they play again. I have Eagles by 2.
I'm having a terrible week. I've got the Bucks by given 3, so I gave them the home court advantage and was wrong.
It is Eagles by 2.5, so I almost got it right on.
Yeah.
All right, so Bucks 3. I think like the philosophy behind that is these two teams definitely seem very equal. So give the Bucks 3. Like I understand that.
Yeah.
I just like it just seems like like last week, the Eagles were trailing a lot of the game to the Saints, but they found a way to win, right? It just seems like this could be the same sort of scenario. Like, are you really gonna say that the Bucks are gonna beat like Jalen Hurts and the Eagles at this point? Like, I think this game should be close, and it just feels like another one that the Eagles pull out. So that's why I went more than favored the Eagles, but not quite by 3. That's just kind of where I'm at.
I think this line says a lot about what happened last week to the Bucks and losing to the Broncos, which is a team I think most people still don't think is very good, in spite of them beating the Bucks. I think the Bucks losing to the Broncos speaks to how people viewed the Bucks coming into the season, which is not a very good team, middling team at best, uncertainty at quarterback, maybe uncertainty at head coach, and I think I went Bucks 3 because I had more faith in what they've done this year, and wasn't as bothered by that loss to the Broncos as maybe I should have been. And going into the season, this line is probably a little much higher in favoring the Eagles. So who's going to win this game? I don't know. The Eagles, I mean, I honestly can't believe that they beat the Packers in the opening weekend, and they did it pretty convincingly too. Yeah, I think I'm going to go with the Eagles here also. The Bucks at 2-2 to start the season makes more sense to me than maybe anything else right now.
Yeah, I don't know. I guess I trust the Eagles a little bit more, although I think the juice is the theme of this podcast for me, but the Eagles came off a road win, and now they're going on the road against a team that just got absolutely snake bitten at home by a bad, or
just embarrassed,
maybe a bad team.
I mean, I guess I don't think the jury's still out, but maybe.
So I don't the effort from the Bucks is going to be good.
Yeah.
I just don't know. Do you trust? I did say Baker seems like the guy who can take down a very solid opponent. Kind of. Well, I said on the road, but when he maybe don't really expect him to. So I don't have a lean either way. I think this is a fair line.
Yeah, I mean, I think I think it's a fair line given where the season has told us so far.
Okay, that's that. Now you have the New England Patriots feeling very refreshed after their week and a half off against visiting the 49ers. I have the Niners by 10.
I have the Niners giving 6.
Oh, is it in between?
Yeah. Oh, no. 10.
Opened at 10 and a half,
Yeah.
and it is 10,
That's
so I
exactly.
got it.
Yeah.
It seems like the Niners have the last few years have always gotten a little more love than I've thought. So I think that's why I went as high as 10.
Yeah.
They haven't played well this year, but like I think most people, like if you talk to 10 people on the street who watch football, they still expect the Niners to be fine and like make the playoffs and make a Super Bowl run. So Kittle, Debo, and McCaffrey were all out last week. So before we sing the praises of the Rams too much, it's not like the Niners didn't have injuries.
No.
The Patriots looked really bad.
He did look
They
really bad.
beat the Bengals, but the Bengals are 0-3. They lost to the Seahawks. The Seahawks have had a soft schedule, and they got smoked by the Jets. Like, we might be saying the Patriots are who we thought they were.
I still think the Patriots are going to be better than who we thought they were at the beginning of the season. They could probably win 7 games. I'm just not sure this is one. And regardless of the injuries to the Niners, I still think they're the better team with maybe the better coach. I just didn't think the line would be this high given what happened to the Niners last week. So this is showing a lot of love for the Niners and almost no love for the Patriots.
Yeah.
It's hard. It's hard to argue with the line. I think it's hard to argue with the line.
This just seems like a terrible time to have to go to San Francisco and play the Niners after what's just happened. But I would watch to see if Kittle and Debo are back. Obviously, McCaffrey's on injured reserve, so he's not going to play. But those other two seemed like more week-to-week injuries. So Debo and Kittle, if they're both back, this is going to be a very tough spot for the Patriots. But I don't know. I mean, 10's a lot. Like
it's a lot to. Sorry, go ahead.
You're going to see me not give out a lot this week because usually if I guess the line very close, which I did on most of these, I don't really have a feel for it. I just feel like it's a fair line and I don't really know what to do, which makes sense. Yeah, that's all I got for that.
I don't know what's more to say. The Niners were the better team coming into the season. I think they're still the better team. They need this. I feel like they need this game because they lost the divisional game last week. They just kind of gave it away, but they lost it and they were winning it, and that's got to sit hard for them. Niners starting 1-3 seems, without the entirety of the team being injured, seems almost impossible, like inexplicable.
Yeah.
I just don't see it.
Yeah, that'd be wild. Although, one thing you can say for the Patriots, they got a little extra, or two things maybe, a little extra rest, and also it seems like the team no one expects to have a shot is the team that competes. Like Washington played decent the first 2 weeks, but no one was expecting them to beat the Bengals on the road when the Bengals absolutely needed a win. And they go in there and like don't even punt the whole game. It's like
Jaden Daniels exploded. I don't know that we expected that either.
Yeah. Well, he's kind of like Lamar Jackson. You can't really blitz him because he just runs around you. So when you play coverage, like he's picking people apart. Like there's 2 throws he dropped into McLaurin for touchdowns were just incredible. Like I'm gonna be honest, like I didn't think he had that in him, but I guess he does, at least for 1 week. All right. We got them Commanders we were just talking about are gonna play the Cardinals in Arizona. I have the Cardinals by 3.
I have the Cardinals given 4.5. And I should have brought this down after that game, but I didn't.
Opened at 4, went to 3.5.
Yeah.
I am rushing it this
smoking it this week. I've not won one.
All right. That one would we were both close. It's in the middle. So you would say if you watched the last game for each of these teams that like Washington's the better team. Why are the Cardinals 3.5? Well, it's because Washington played a primetime game. Everyone saw what they did.
Yeah.
Cardinals are coming off a home loss against the
Mhm.
Lions. They're going to be ready to go.
Yeah.
Um, it just seems like a spot where the Commanders have like played super well. Like
Mhm.
I think they're going to fall on their face a little bit. It's just a, you know, what's the flight time from Washington to Arizona to wherever the
I mean,
Cardinals
it's
play?
almost, yeah, it's got to be probably 6 hours, six and a
Well,
half hours, something like that.
going, yeah, back a few time
Yeah.
zones. If there was a pick of the week, this is probably it. Um,
Who are you going with?
I mean, the Cardinals,
You're
like
gonna
it's
go
just a
Cardinals?
spot where the Cardinals
Yeah.
need it.
They've looked competitive. Like I know they're 1-2, but they were competitive in the games that they've lost. Like they were up on the Bills in the opening weekend, and then the Bills won, and then they were competitive last week too, and they lost. And then um they stomped the Lions. So I mean, this is going to be an interesting game. It should be actually a pretty fun game to watch if Daniels continues this progression. Um, Kyler Murray is also just an explosive, dynamic player who can do fun, exciting things with the football. If I could get this game, I'd watch it. I don't know that I would pick either way. I'm just not sure.
So these games of the week, it's usually like two or three specific things that I really like about one
Mm-hmm.
side or really dislike about another side. So Washington has one fewer day to prepare, right?
Mm-hmm.
They played on Monday. The Cardinals off a loss and Washington off a primetime win. So Washington is gonna be probably a little hungover emotionally, maybe. And then the Cardinals a little pissed off, lost a home game, need to get back on track. They feel like they're
Yeah.
a pretty good team. And then Washington flying across the country. You got a rookie quarterback doing that. It seems like the perfect storm. I mean, 3.5. I kind of wish it was three, but Cardinals 3 stars for me. This is kind of the game of the week. Book it.
Book it down.
All right. Now, the Chiefs are 3-0 and they play the Chargers, and Herbert's probably not going to play. Chiefs at the Chargers.
Chargers.
I'm actually going to be in the area of the Chargers Stadium, but we are not going to the game. I have the Chiefs by 7.
I've been 3.5, and once again, I'm sure I probably lost this.
Yeah, it's higher, but like if Herbert was playing, you would be probably right on.
8.5. I mean, yeah, because the Chiefs have not looked great. There's been a ton of criticism about Andy Reid and his play calling and how he's underserving Mahomes.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
maybe
a lot of
fair.
it. I mean, I don't.
But remember last year they
Anyway.
were was it last year when they started out? I don't know. They were like 500. Like they couldn't.
I mean, they lost their opening game, right?
Yeah,
Remember, they lost to the Lions.
I want to say they were like 3-3, or like even maybe 5-4, and then they turned it on. Like I don't know. You can't argue with wins, and you're always gonna get the other team's best game because you've won 2 Super Bowls in a row.
Yeah.
I think they're fine. I don't know. Kelsey looks old.
I mean, he does. He does.
Pacheco is out.
Yeah, just some injuries. I still like them in this game. I'm not sure about I'm not sold on the Chargers yet. And then, Herbert being injured and all that. I mean, I don't know if they're going to win by more than a touchdown, but I like the Chiefs in this game.
Yeah, I don't know. Is Easton Stick their backup? I really don't think Herbert's going to play. Like it would be probably a mistake to have him re-aggravate it and just keep having him.
He's been injured since before the season started. Just sit his ass.
Yeah. Well, I don't think it was an ankle before the season, though.
Well, but that's the whole point. Is that something? It was still his foot. It was one of the plantar fasciitis. So he's got something going on with his legs that are not happy.
I can't feel my legs.
Oh, poor Justin Herbert. What a curse youth is. Yeah, I don't. Yeah, I like the Chiefs here.
All right, I don't. When you're dealing with probably the starting quarterback not playing, there's so much uncertainty.
Yeah.
I don't like anything here. But we got 4 left, 12 down, 4 to go to Grandma. Browns at the Raiders. Raiders by 3.
I have the Raiders giving 2.5.
Might get this one.
Ah, I do. I do.
Ooh.
The stopper.
Well, look at this. It opened Browns by 1, and it is Raiders by 1.
Raiders by 1. Woohoo. I mean, I feel like this is a game there's gonna be 15 field goals in this game.
Yeah. So it'd be easy to say that the Raiders suck after losing to the Panthers at home, but I told you that was a prime spot for a letdown.
Yeah.
And it happened. And I think the Raiders are gonna be decent, like maybe 7 wins, maybe 8, maybe 9 if they really play well. So I think they're going to end up being a more consistent team than the Browns. I think like this line jumping from Browns to Raiders, like I don't know, like I think there's more reason to like the Raiders at home here against the Browns team that you don't know what you're going to get week to week. Raiders got embarrassed, although the Browns did too. Like Raiders lost to the Panthers, Browns lose to the Giants, and how they play each other. Yeah, I guess I lean Raiders, but I don't know if it's enough to give out a pick on this.
Yeah, how do you pick between two crappy teams? I guess the Raiders because they're at home, and I have less faith in the Browns as a traveling team, but could the Browns pull this out for sure? I don't like either of them. This is probably a game I wouldn't watch.
Yeah, this is another one that the Browns are flying across. Like, it's kind of weird to me that the Browns started out being favored. So when they get weird like that and like intuitively I think differently, I don't know. I tend to not like them. But
all
right. I mean, if I say this a lot, but if anyone's real confident that the Raiders are going to win this game or the Browns are going to win this game, like tell me what your reasoning is.
Yeah, I would love the rationale.
I would hope it's some sort of like matchup disparity on like, offensive line versus defensive line or something weird like that. Because I just don't know how you pick this game.
No.
All right. Bills at the Ravens. I have a pick 'em.
I thought the Ravens giving 3.
Woo! You might get that one too. You might not.
Baltimore giving 2.5 across the board.
Opened Ravens 1, it's 2.5. You got it.
So I had asked you.
You did?
I did. I had asked you, are the Bills the best team in the NFL right now? And then I asked you, I gave you their next 3 games, which was Texans, not in any order, Ravens, Texans, and Jets. And I said, can they go 2-1? And you said, I don't think so.
I think 1 and 2. So they're probably going to lose this game unless the Ravens blow it. I think the Ravens are going to come out. It's the whole 3-0 going on the road. Like you're as hunted as you can be. The Ravens feel like they're the better team. Like they had the better record last year.
The best record last year.
Yeah, they feel like, okay, who are these guys coming into town? Like the whole juice factor is definitely going to favor the Ravens. Can you trust them to hold on and win? Like I would say
it's Josh Allen. That's the thing, man. It's like Allen they have looked so good this year. And I know the Bills, what did they play? They played the Cardinals opening weekend and they were losing initially, then they came back to win. And then they just blew out the Jaguars. And who did they play in the middle? Which was also a pretty decisive victory.
The Bills?
Yes. Who did they play in?
The Bills.
Then they killed the Dolphins, which they have started. That's like a tradition for them now.
Don't stop killing the Dolphins.
So they've not played. I mean, you can make an argument the Cardinals are a decent team, but the other 2 teams kind of suck. So, maybe this is their first real test. Kudos for the NFL schedulers. This is a great game in prime time at this point in the season. Terrific, especially with the Ravens 1-3.
Yeah.
Just an awesome, stellar, best game of the week, just in terms of viewability right now and storylines.
So I would go 3 stars normally, but I just don't know if I trust the Ravens to pull this out. I think they will sort of control the game,
Yeah.
but I don't know how you can go against what the Bills have been doing. I mean, they're scoring a million
Yeah.
points. Like,
Josh
but
Allen looks unstoppable.
it just fight the urge to like the Bills because everyone's going to like the Bills.
Yeah.
They haven't lost. They've dominated every game pretty much. I mean, they did struggle with the Cardinals for a while, but
Yeah.
they won by 6 or whatever it was.
Yeah, and they haven't played a good team this year, really. I mean, again, Cardinals are middling at this point, but they've not played a great team. So this will be their first test. I think the Ravens are a great team, regardless of their record at this point. Give me the Bills. I'll take the Bills for one.
All right. We're opposite.
Yeah.
We'll do this. Yeah. Hey, there you have it. He likes the Bills and I like the Ravens.
Coach. Yeah.
Um,
I don't like anybody in this next game.
although, yeah, like, let me think. I mean, the Ravens defense kept the Cowboys down for most of that game, and then it got a little fluky at the end. They were kind of playing prevent, gave up an onside kick, whatever.
Their end of game struggles are inexplicable. I've said that like 15 times, inexplicable on this podcast. But I don't like that. To me, is maybe the biggest warning sign. Is no matter what the Ravens are able to do for 75% of the game, 80% of the game, that last 20% fucks them. Like, and we've seen it. It's been like 7 times where they have had a definitive 2-digit lead and then just lost. And against not great competition, that's the other thing. It's not like it's always against the Chiefs or something like that. It's just pick a team and they can lose to them in the fourth quarter. That's just not a situation you want to be in with a team whose offense is as dynamic as the Bills is.
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah, I mean, it's so much more just like who needs it more and who's going to be playing with a chip on their
The
shoulder.
Ravens need it way more.
And like Josh Allen has looked great this year,
Yes.
but he's always, every year he's played, he's always had a game or two where it's like he throws 4 picks or something, and he just like forgot how to do the right thing. So maybe that's this game. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean he always reverts back for periods to what he looked like in his first season, right? Inexperienced, without the control of over the football, just sort of sending it all over the place, wildly inaccurate.
Yeah,
but
I think if you're the Ravens, you should take the ball. You should run RPOs, get Henry in there, and try to control the clock.
yes,
That's the way to beat them. But
yes,
I guarantee you, if the Ravens win the flip, they're going to defer because you want to try to make a statement against the best or the most, the highest scoring quarterback maybe in the league. Like you want to try to make that statement.
Yeah, I mean, I think this is just the eye test. This is the best team. The Bills are the best team through 3 weeks. I don't think there's any question of that. I mean, given their pedigree, history, and then what they've been able to do, of the undefeated teams, they look like the best right now.
Well, there you go.
Yeah.
And yeah, I'll say this: like I was definitely wrong about Josh Allen's ability to play really well, losing some playmakers. Quite a few playmakers. He lost his top 2 receivers. So, although they drafted Keon Coleman, who's started to play better. Shakir is just like a possession guy who's played really well, and you got Kincaid. Is I think one of the best tight ends in football.
Yeah.
So he does still have
flashy
weapons, and then Cook has been phenomenal.
Yeah.
He's been one of the best running backs. So I don't know. Maybe I didn't like. Obviously, the Bills knew letting Diggs and Davis go wasn't going to be that big of a deal. I just didn't. I didn't agree with that.
I mean, the Texans certainly haven't been explosive.
Diggs hasn't done much at all. It's so weird. He wasn't drafted very high in our league, fantasy league, or probably most of them, and he hasn't done much. It's like, is he just
offense hasn't done much,
or like he's not practicing, or like
there
lifting weights?
There are some issues there, I think, with the Texans. Yeah, they just haven't looked stellar, and they're going to benefit from what I think is going to end up being a pretty bad division.
Right,
but I mean, I think Bill Simmons picked them to win the Super Bowl, and I'm sure that's going to happen.
Yeah, I mean, who is going to compete with them in that division? That division is absolute
It's dog
trash.
shit. I at this point, nobody. It's certainly not the Titans.
The Jags are 0-3. The
Titans.
Colts are
Well,
they're 1-2, and the Titans are 1-2. So what's that? 2-7.
wait, did the Titans win a game?
Oh no,
they're
they're
0-3. Yeah, 'cause
0-3,
they lost to the Bears.
1-2.
Yeah.
So what's that? 1-8, and then the Texans are 2-1. 3-9 that division is. I mean, we knew it was going to be pretty bad.
Yeah, but probably the worst division of football right now.
And then when they start playing each other, then they're going to start racking up the wins.
Yeah, well, maybe. I mean, that's how the Texans, get to 9-10 wins.
Right. Somebody's got to win those divisions.
It's true.
All right. Titans at the Dolphins. Stop killing the Dolphins. Okay, I have the Titans by 3.
I have the Dolphins giving 2-2. Is Skylar Thompson's hurt too now, right?
Yeah.
I don't even know if they're back up.
He went out, and it looked like a rib injury or something like that. I was assuming he wasn't playing, but I didn't really look into it that much. Anyway, the Titans opened at 1, and it went to Dolphins by, oh my God, I don't even know what to think.
1.5, 1, 2 ones, and a pick 'em, and then one site has the Titans.
Well, we'll go, Dolphins by 1, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, that's the consensus.
I think no matter what we say, you're basically right anyway. So
Dolphins. I mean, even if we went to pick 'em, it's
3 in a row for you.
I needed it, dude.
Yeah. How? Well, I don't know. Neither team should be favored. Like, what do you like? It should just be a pick 'em, and it basically is. But
it is.
This is just 2 teams. One team that's on their 3rd quarterback probably, and another team that refuses to win a game or like do the little things right.
Yeah. This just feels like the Titans just look like a disaster. They let go one of the best coaches in the league. I don't think there's any argument there. He hadn't won anything yet, but he was still game to game a terrific coach. Took Ryan Tannehill and at least found the right personnel to resurrect his career briefly. And then the owner didn't like him because he was aggressive, which I get, guess.
In the game of football?
Well, I guess in the game of office politics too. He was a damn good football coach, and I just don't think the Titans are where they're. I don't think Levis is still starting for the Titans if Vrabel is coaching.
Yeah, I don't see, like I was saying before the season, that Tom Brady had some good things to say about Levis, but like, I don't know, the progression certainly isn't there. If
Too many
you're
mistakes.
If you're a Levis fan, maybe the fit isn't right, but it just doesn't seem like things are clicking at all.
No, doesn't at all. Just this seems like a stay away game for any number of reasons.
Yeah, for sure. Awful. Don't watch
it. Don't watch it. Don't bet it. Just, I guess, point and laugh.
Seahawks at the Lions. So Titans Dolphins is Monday night. Right? There's 2 Monday.
There are 2 Monday nights. Both of these are Monday night games.
Okay, Seahawks at Lions is definitely going to be, or should be, the better game.
Yep.
I have the Lions by 6.
I haven't given 3.
Hey, I think. Well, it's right in the. I think you barely get it. Right. Open at 4.5, and it is only 3.5.
Oh, I finished strong at least.
Yeah, Josh got the last 4, 11-4 with 1 tie. If memory serves me correct, the Seahawks went to the Lions week 2 or 3 of last season, and it was a game where the Lions were expected to win pretty easily, and they blew it. And the Lions did the same thing against the Bucs this year. They blew it.
Yeah. So, the Lions, I think, are a lot shakier than a lot of people thought they were gonna be coming into the season. So, yeah, you know what? I'm gonna go out on a limb. Give me the Seahawks 3 stars here.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Okay. So what I was gonna say is I believe this is right. The Seahawks went to the Lions and beat the Lions in Detroit when the Lions were at that point considered the better team.
Yeah.
So the Seahawks are 3-0. You got them coming into the Lions. Lions just won a road game. They're coming back home. They want to avoid another
They want to be 2-2.
letdown. So he likes the Seahawks, but I really like the Lions. Like, again, I don't like the 3.5. I think the Lions definitely win this game. But I'm going Lions just because this is almost like sort of into pick of the week territory, just because they lost at home to the same team last year in a sort of a similar situation. Although the Seahawks weren't, they were like 0-1 or 1-1 at the time or something like that.
Yeah.
So if you look back at that, you're saying, okay, we're not losing to these guys again, like we did last year when we were supposed to win. They're 3-0. Like, let's knock them down a peg.
Mm-hmm.
They're flying in from Seattle, kind of a cross country sort of a thing. Maybe I make too much out of that. It just seems like the perfect storm of like, okay, the Seahawks aren't elite. Lions smoked them by 14. Let's turn the page. It just feels like that for me. So let's do this. We got to do this. You're going 3 stars one way, and I'm going 3 the other way. Perfect.
Woo!
Good material.
Yes.
All right. So that's the last game of the week. I want to just go back through because it was a huge week for upsets. I think like at least 5 underdogs of like 6 points or more, won outright or close to that. Let's just go through this quick. Giants were plus 6.5. They won the game. Broncos were plus 6.5. They won the game. Panthers were plus 5. So not quite 6, I guess. Won the game. How many is that?
That's
3.
4.
3 so
far.
3. Rams were plus 7. They won the game. That's 4. Jags beat no, they didn't.
No, they didn't. No.
Commanders plus 7.5 won the game.
Yeah.
5 teams of plus 5 or better won outright. Typically, that's a great week for me in my winners pick'em, just because I always have that alternative mentality of like, I know upsets are going to happen sooner or later, but I just did not pick enough of the right ones. I almost flipped my Bengals pick to Washington because I had 16 on it just to try to win the week, and I should have done it.
Yeah.
They won, but I just didn't see it happening. Anyway, lots of upsets last week. Will that continue? I think you're going to see not as many just because it was kind of a weird week.
I mean, the lines are a lot calmer this week.
Yeah.
I mean, overall, most of them are under 5. You've got 3 above 6. And there's only 1 above 5. So Vegas really settled after last week.
Yeah. At this point, you know way more about teams, like how good they are comparatively than you have. Like, I'll say this, like after week 3, it's like exponentially more, more about teams than you did after week 2, I would say.
Yeah.
And I don't know if that's because my guesses were closer or what, but like you're just getting more combinations of, okay, this team played that team and that team played this team, and you're starting to figure out who's actually good and who isn't. I don't know what else to say. Vikings Packers is 2.5, and the Bears are gonna beat the Rams by a field goal.
Get out of here.
All right, let's go back through our picks quick, see if we want to add anything. I think I'm good on mine.
I don't want to add anything. No.
So I have the Falcons minus 1.5 for 1 star. Josh has the Texans for 1 star, minus 7. I have the Packers, provided Jordan Love plays, minus 2.5. Josh has the Steelers, minus 1.5, 2 stars. I have the Cardinals. I said it, pick of the week. Minus 3.5 at home against the Commanders. I think they might blow them out. And then we both picked the Bills-Ravens game. Josh has 1 star on the Bills. I have 2 stars on the Ravens. And then Monday night, for all the marbles, he's got 3 stars on the Seahawks.
Yeah.
And I got 3 stars on the Lions.
Let's go.
That's all we got for you. Go Vikings!
Go Bears.